Hey everybody, David Rainey here, and I am the AI Guide. Today we're going to talk about the more detailed plan that NASA released on its Artemis program, which is its moon exploration initiative and ultimately leading to Mars exploration. So they laid out pretty clearly how they want to accomplish it. They've done that before, but they also laid out cost, some $28 billion over the next 4 years, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's $7 billion a year. It's not a tremendous amount of money to go back to the moon. But let's talk about how AI specifically may play a role in this NASA venture. Now, they didn't really disclose a lot of this stuff, but we can make reasonable guesses about it. So, AI in Artemis. So, the first piece of Artemis is SLS, Space Launch System. So SLS has been in development since roughly 2013, a long time. And their first unmanned test launch of the system is due late next year, 2021. So a little over a year from now. In a month or two, a couple of months, November-ish, they're going to do the final hot fire test for SLS. This is being tested at the Stennis Space Center in Mississippi. So for SLS, what is this? This is their big booster. And it's designed to get a lot of weight out of Earth's gravity well. And what would a big booster use in terms of AI? We do have some guesses. First, guidance, right? Guidance probably will use AI to tell the rocket where to go, exactly what its flight corridor is after takeoff, and will make sure that the rocket doesn't stray out of that flight corridor. Or if it does, it'll terminate the flight. So that's a very important piece of AI for SLS. Another is the termination system. So what does that do? Well, if the rocket goes way off course, it destroys it in air so that it doesn't land in a populated area. That's a really good idea, right? But this termination system needs to be able to react in milliseconds, because a rocket after takeoff very, very quickly passes the speed of sound, and within about a minute is going well beyond the speed of sound. So this termination system has to be able to react very, very quickly, and the best way to do that is AI, right? Then a final piece for us, SLS with AI, is stage separation, stage sep, and they want to separate the SLS stage from the upper stage at precisely the right moment. Now, they can do that without AI, but they also need to factor in to make sure before separation that the rocket has reached a certain speed, or else the second stage will not be able to get it to orbit. And again, that the flight path is correct. That's looping back to the guidance piece. But all this comes to say that most likely there's multiple areas where SLS will employ artificial intelligence. And this takes humans out of the loop because the reaction times are way too fast for manual intervention traveling at these speeds. By the way, this SLS will be the most powerful rocket ever flown by far. More powerful than the Apollo rockets that took the astronauts to the moon. Why will it be more powerful? Well, because ultimately they want to use this rocket to get people to Mars. So what is the second piece of the Artemis system? It's the second stage, which is going to evolve over time. But attached to that second stage is the crew capsule. So the second stage is the piece that ultimately gets the rocket to orbital velocity. So what is orbital velocity? Roughly 17,000 miles per hour. Or for you international folks, 24 to 25,000 kilometers per hour. Without getting the rocket at the end of the flight of the second stage to that speed, orbit will not be achieved. So this is another critical element. So again, the second stage uses, will most likely use rather, guidance, AI, again, a flight termination system, again, and stage SEP. So what's the stage SEP for here? The stage SEP here separates the unit that has the crew capsule on it. So the final piece is the crew capsule and the propulsion module for the crew capsule. So that propulsion module will push it out of Earth orbit towards the moon or Mars eventually. So that's a critical piece. Again, you have to time the departure sequence from Earth's orbit exactly to be able to successfully orbit the moon and especially successfully orbit Mars. Now, you can do that without AI, obviously. Obviously, you can do it without AI. Why? Because Apollo already did it. But AI makes it more accurate and results in lower fuel use, which is critical, right? Because the Artemis missions are going to be much, much longer than the Apollo missions were. So your Apollo mission typically, I'm going to write it up here so you can see it. Apollo, they'd be on the moon for 1 to 2 days, maybe 3. Artemis, what they're shooting for is a week. So what do you need to stay on the moon for a week? Well, you need more water and other beverages, you need more food, you need more supplies, you need more scientific instruments, you need more of everything to facilitate that kind of exploration. And by the way, I'm not going to go into it today because it's not really part of the AI talk right now, but that 1 week excursion will require a lot of stuff that has to be either invented brand new from the Apollo days or significantly improved. Like the rovers they used during the Apollo era, those will have to be far more robust and have way better batteries so that they can travel much further distances. But the crew capsule needs AI to achieve orbit of the moon or Mars. And also, specifically, it needs AI for precision landing. So back in the Apollo days, the landing area for the Apollo moon lander was huge. It was, let's say, 12 miles by 24 miles or even bigger. So this was a gigantic area that the lander actually could have come down on. That won't work for Artemis. Why? Because they're not going to just explore the equatorial or equator regions of the moon like they did during all the Apollo missions. Out of the box, they want to go to the South Pole. No one's been to the South Pole yet. A Chinese lander and small rover did land near the South Pole last year in 2019, which was a historic achievement. But we're talking about a spaceship now that's much bigger and much larger scale. So they're going to use AI to facilitate precision landing. So what will that do? That'll bring the range of the landing zone down from, say, 12 miles by 24 miles to maybe the size of a football field. It might still be a little bit bigger than that, but that's the kind of improvement we're talking about. And the easiest way to do that is AI. So I'm virtually certain they're going to be using AI in this landing sequence, because the Apollo landing sequences were done before AI and were done manually by the astronauts. That took real skill, real training, and real bravery, by the way. Apollo 11, the moon lander was within 30 seconds of running out of fuel when it finally touched down. So it almost crashed. And once they did it the first time, they got better and better at it. But to stick a landing in a very small area, AI is the way to go. So as you can see, AI is going to play a huge role in this effort. And this effort is all going to happen quickly. It's they're targeting 2024 for the first moon landing again. And that means that there's going to be a lot of spin-off technology coming out of NASA using AI surrounding this Artemis program that's going to make its way to the public. So tremendous AI use and benefits coming through NASA's Artemis program, and we're going to keep a close eye on this one to see how things develop. By the way, again, careers, NASA, AI programming for subcontractors for NASA, which a lot of the work is done by contractors on this Artemis system. So there's opportunity to work for smaller companies doing AI that ultimately gets used in the Artemis program. So a lot of opportunity here for jobs that will not be automated. And that's terrific. All right, take care. See you on Saturday.